If you play tennis, then I'm sure you've had at one point or another the frustrating experience of doing better in practice than you do in matches or tournaments. And it reminds me of a young tennis player I work with by the name of John. And John had a really good game. At least in practice, he had a really good game. Great ground strokes, was aggressive, came up to the net, really consistent serve. And in matches, it was as if John was a different tennis player. He didn't hit the ball hard. He was tentative. He would double fault. And it was really frustrating for him, of course, because he just didn't understand, like, what's wrong with me? How come I'm not hitting out? And of course, that didn't help him play better when he's castigating himself while the match is going on. And it also frustrated his parents, and they wanted to be helpful. They didn't understand why he was struggling. And his teaching pro was as confused, because this is a kid who should have been playing at a higher level. And when John and I started working together, one of the things we kind of worked on was his focus, his pre-match and during match focus. Because when he was in practice, the interesting thing is there wasn't any thinking going on, and all he focused on was that yellow round bouncing thing. He would just focus on the ball and react. There wasn't any thought process going on. There wasn't any worrying about outcome. And when he got in a match, he would be focusing on how good he thought his opponent was. He'd be focusing on the score. He'd be focusing on what if he didn't win? What if this kid beat him? And those were the things that made him nervous and undercut his confidence. So we taught him how to better control where he put his focus, how to stay in the moment, how to keep his concentration on himself and on what he was doing. And when he did make mistakes, how to let go of them. And when the match got close or he was close to closing out a set, then how to stay focused on one point at a time. And this is something tennis players need to learn. And I say this from the perspective of having played Division I tennis, #1 singles in college. I say this from a perspective of having taught tennis for 22 years. This is a problem so many tennis players have. They don't control where their concentration is, and as a consequence, end up struggling. Now, whether you do what John did and work one-on-one with me, and I should tell you, incidentally, this is a kid who went on to start playing really well. He got a New England ranking, went on to play tennis in college, or whether you use my training material, and I've developed tennis audios and tennis workbooks, your choice, either one. But if you want to get good, you have to work on the mental side of your game. You have to develop the mind of a champion, and this is easy to do if you put a little bit of time in. There's a systematic way of developing mental skills in the same way there is developing, a drop shot or a good serve. You have to put the time in. So if you have any questions about which way would be better for you, either the training material or the one-on-one work, please feel free to contact me. But again, remember, you can't become a champion without using your head.